Hello, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking more about The Sound of Freedom, controversy surrounding Oprah, the school, Mel Gibson's input. We're going to be talking about the controversy and how it is compared against other movies. It's going up against Barbie right now. Barbie has smoked it, but it did overtake Indiana Jones and Mission Impossible. And for those of you who've not seen it, it's heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, blood-boiling, harrowing. We'll start out just dissecting the trailer so you can get an idea and see what this movie is about. So let's hit the beginning of the trailer up.
Giving a child his freedom. Felt good. You have been at this for 12 years.
My country, 'tis of thee.
Why are you doing it?
Sweet land of liberty.
Because God's children are not for sale.
Let's just pause here a minute, Rob. So as you can see there, the gist of the movie, true story about Tim Ballard. And no matter what controversies are surrounding this, conspiracies, the pros, the cons, the bottom line as far as we're concerned, because we've all got to be on the same page. Anything that exposes the 150 billion year of human transportation, especially of kids, into these insidious activities by adults, how can anyone in the world be against this? It's a true story. Tim quit his job. He continued his operation when he was told to come home because he could not walk away from the prospect of getting these kids out of doing what these horrible adults were forcing them into. I'll leave that up to your imaginations, but the kids that are involved in this are as young as like 4 and 5 years old, and it is a real gut-wrencher and a tearjerker to see that unfold in front of your eyes in this movie.
It's true, of course. I think when I was doing my research, the only people I can find speaking out against this is one side of the media that keep throwing out conspiracies and using groups that we can't mention here as a set of buzzwords to make people assume this is just conspiracy and nonsense. And it's interesting because there's few topics in the world where you can't find any public opinion that is on the same side as this. Usually if one side of the media is saying one thing and the other is saying the other, it's the same with the public opinion. People usually split down the middle depending on what side they stand on, and that's not the case here. It's almost as if they're trying to use the tactic of, if you say a lie enough times, people will start believing it. And I mean, as a journalist, researcher, whatever, that stuck out to me more than anything.
And there's different motivations for that we're going to get to. Let's watch a little bit more of the trailer.
Sure thing.
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
This job tears you to pieces.
And where my fathers died.
And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
Land of the Pilgrims'
And yet somehow you have failed to bring me one real-world lead.
It's over, Tim. Close up and come back home.
So you quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring.
South of that blue is all rebel territory. No one goes in. What if this was your daughter? So, she's gone.
Hear that? That's the sound of freedom.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps again just watching it and getting that punch in the guts, and that it makes you want to get out there and do something about it, which is one of the reasons why we're doing these videos, because we need to get the word out there that this is so prevalent, and yet it's being ignored, especially by mainstream media. So there are different theories as to why certain organizations and media outlets are attacking this. One of them is because the crowdfunding component, they have circumvented the traditional methods of bringing a movie to market. And this movie has smoked all the big productions that came out at the same time as it. It's now stormed over 100 million in revenues. It's only been overtook in the last couple of days by the release of Barbie, which has done, I think, about 200 million worldwide.
180 something million it's done. It's killed it. Killed it.
But The Sound of Freedom has not been released worldwide yet, so we're yet to see what is going to happen.
I mean, personally, I don't know if I'm just at a point in my life where I notice these things, but I've never really seen anything surrounding a movie being handled this way. I mean, we're talking, it's been out for 5 years, and it was then suppressed by Disney. Nobody's tried to pick it up. No Netflix, no Amazon Prime, nothing. But they're quite happy to promote and push Cuties. Do you remember Netflix and the whole Cuties fiasco? It just doesn't add up to me, you know? It doesn't, because again, I just go back to what what is being said in the news, and how public opinion doesn't reflect what is being pushed out by these media outlets. That should be the biggest red flag to everybody. And the fact that Disney, I mean, we're not going to start going down the Disney tinfoil hat road, but I think enough of you understand just how dark some of the theories about Disney are, and having connections to suppressing a movie like this. And then, you know, individuals like Oprah, Mel Gibson, Hollywood, other Hollywood actors, The Rock, all having their say. We're almost seeing a split now in Hollywood and those who are speaking out, as we are in the media. And it's going to be interesting to see who gets the A-list Hollywood contracts coming over the next couple of years, and whether or not those who have spoken out fade off into the abyss.
Yeah, and the movie does state that one of the main destinations for clients of this sick activity against kids is the United States. And Hollywood has been regarded quite a prime spot for this activity. So one of the theories is that because this activity is prevalent in Hollywood, that's one of the reasons that this has been suppressed, because people in power in Hollywood are either complicit or are perpetrators. And it was Mel Gibson many years ago. There was a clip released, wasn't there, Ron? Mel Gibson.
Yes, there was. Yeah, this was, I do believe, when Mel Gibson, 1998, I think it was, very young Mel Gibson at the start of his, well, I wouldn't say the start of his career, but certainly it's not the Mel Gibson that you've all been seeing with the beard and the weathered face. It's old school Mel from 1998.
Mad Max, baby. But something was going on.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
They don't.
And I formed a bunch of opinions about the town and about the people in it that were like, surely that couldn't be. Whole place can't be like, you know, Weird Town, you know, where the stranger wanders in and all the people are in the bar and they all shut up when he looks at them. And they tell you don't go to the house on the hill. It's like that. And then you go away and you think, no, I was wrong. I mean, that's insane thinking. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. That couldn't be the reason for why so-and-so was acting like. Could it? And then you find out later on the track that you are exactly on track with a lot of this stuff, that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time. And you think, a place like this can humiliate you. And it can humiliate you, it can be humbling. I mean, it does rip your life to pieces if you'll let it.
Yeah.
And it's always pounding at the walls. It's these little guys These little heathens with no soul downstairs with horns on their head. You can't get mad. You can't let it get you, because you have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be f***ed over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for. And it may happen that by circumstance, or even very purposefully, and I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slip firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart. No, he came to see me on a rooftop in New York. I said, hey, can I talk to you? And he said, sure. He floated in sideways through a crowd of people. He was wearing black. And it was like one of those old vampire movies where they don't walk, but they glide. The air had turned cold. And then he left, and I wanted to leave. And because I knew that I didn't want to work with him.
Yeah.
And he was getting scary.
Yeah.
And then I turned around, and it was on top of the Peninsula Hotel. I turned around to avoid his steady gaze at one point.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a building with the top of the sixes on it. So there was a huge illuminated 666 in red.
Yeah.
And I went from that to that to that, and he started smiling. And I thought, oh no, Chris is the Antichrist, you know? I'll think, fuck, and you'll resent it for a little while, then you have to let it go. Otherwise, you'll eat yourself alive. And I think it takes that kind of cockroach resilience to survive in this town. First time I really came over here.
Wow. So much to unpack there. I mean, I wish he would issue a clarification, because he's talking very cryptically, but reading between the lines, he's saying that, I mean, my impression is there's some kind of honey trap stuff going on in Hollywood. There's houses where, you know, there's things going on that are terrifying. And what's your interpretation, Bob?
All I'm going to say is Mel Gibson speaking like this in 1998 is the only thing I've got to relate to is how we talk on YouTube in 2023 when we're trying to get across points and we're having to dull down what we're saying. Nobody talks like that, okay? Nobody goes out in the... I mean, I don't sit and talk to Sean on the phone about projects and go, oh, P's and R's and transportation and all of this. So the alarm bells ring for me when I see him talking like this in such a way that is... You know, his lawyers have told him, do not go and say anything for a start. And this is his version of skipping the lines, shall we say. But that is really scary. The you know, people's way that people remember things, you know, the whole floating along and all this kind of stuff. I'm sure that is more of an afterthought and all the rest of it. But the 666 and the being on top of a building and Mel Gibson feeling he couldn't work with somebody because of how scary they were being. Like, have you heard Mel Gibson screaming down the phone at people? Like, he's not somebody who shies away from confrontation. He's Australian, right? I don't know if many of you know any Australians personally. They're spicy, okay? They're spicy people. Like, they don't shy away from anything. You know, they're vocal, and that's how it should be. But that's a really ominous bit of footage. In fact, I'd quite like to line up what movies came from Mel after this. If this was before or after Conspiracy Theory, that's definitely one timeline I'd like to add up. But it is interesting, the descent of Mel Gibson. I don't know if anybody's kept up with Mel Gibson since he became a sort of B-list, acting jobs, but an amazing director. Some of his movies that are on Netflix, he's kept acting. He didn't get cancelled from Hollywood and then just disappear. He's done some great movies, and it's going to be interesting, like I say, to see what happens next for everyone in support of this movie, and who's spoken out about against the media, against famous people like Oprah, and why Disney seem to have escaped answering the question of suppressing this movie. Or am I stupid? Because my Google search results on this were very questionable. I'm not going to lie. Like, I've switched over to a completely different browser now for when I'm searching on this, because Google, do you know what I'm saying? So Yeah, it's all very strange. And I just want to say, if there's people out there who, again, sadly, right, if a movie like this doesn't convince you, if me and Sean talking about it doesn't convince you, then what else is going to convince you? Do you need to get dragged down to a dock and have a shipping container opened and see it for yourself? Like, do you really think that I don't have better things to do with my life than chase a conspiracy? Like, everything that happened in this movie, I've seen, I've dealt with, I've chased and found modeling agencies like this, and these are horrifically real situations. The part that seems to be the problem is when you bring Hollywood and elites into the narrative. And I was just saying this to Sean, it's going to be interesting to see how many more documentaries and films follow this, how many of them are going to be counterintelligence put out there that shows, oh no, it's deep sea fishermen, they're the ones that are doing it, not the elites, and painting a false narrative. How many of the ones that actually still direct everything to the elites are going to then be told, oh, it's just jumping on the bandwagon? You're going to see so much counterintelligence and distraction tactics if this is going to be the new thing for subject matter, if you understand.
Yeah, and we've been approached by a guy who's got another film out. We're going to show that trailer later on. But one of the criticisms, it's being lambasted because of its religious overtures. Okay. And, having researched a lot about Pablo Escobar, how deeply Catholic Colombia is, because a lot of the movie is set in Colombia, I think that the religious references are perfectly in context. And Tim Ballard was chosen because he was a Christian. His wife and him are devout, and they believe that when Tim Ballard looks at the images of the kids in these sickening acts that these adults are doing, he's chosen by Homeland Security because they think his religion will cushion the trauma he's going to experience from looking at these images. And watching the interviews of Tim, he talks about every single image, put a hole in his head.
Yeah, it's interesting that
seared a hole in his head.
Religion being used as both sides as a justification, I would imagine as well, because it's it wasn't until you mentioned that it became completely relevant that does make sense to pick somebody who's a strong religious individual so that they can fall back onto that. But then again, the other side of it, where I'm assuming you all know the rumors and the conspiracies behind certain Catholic organizations, they can be hiding behind that narrative also. Religion's a funny one, but guarantee you they know how off-putting talking about religion will be in a movie, and that is how they'll be pushing the press. They'll be slating it, so don't believe what you read. It's probably only 90 minutes of your life, and it could really help push forward a message. So don't believe what I'm sure will be an influx of anti-religious media.
And another criticism that's arisen in the past few days, some pundits are pointing out they've had millions of tickets purchased in blocks so audience members can go for free. No one knows who bought the tickets or how many people actually used them. What happens if the free tickets donated by church and Christian groups aren't used? Well, Angel Studios put up a response on their website. If there are any funds remaining after the theatrical run, they will be used to pay for streaming Sound of Freedom in the Angel Studios app. Remaining funds from Pay It Forward may also be used to help the filmmaker create additional content. So that should disabuse everyone about where the money is going. Because of this, we've got people all over the world talking about it. So there's a definite massive audience base. It's only been released in the UK. In the USA so far. And I can't imagine people are gagging for it here in the UK. It's going to take the world by storm when it gets its other releases, and it wouldn't surprise me if it racks up another 100 million and catches up with Barbie.
Oh, I mean, it's Barbie's going to be a tough one to beat. And we're not getting into the statistics of Barbie, but it's an interesting set of stats. But I personally, I'm I'm a bit of a nerd. It's really weird that you can't find it online as well. I just want to point that out. You can find a couple of really terrible copies that look like the sort of copies that your dad would bring back from the market 20 years ago on VHS for people to watch. Do you know what I mean? Which I find really weird. Like, how is it possible that the new Avengers movie is online before it's in the cinema, and people can steal viewing that, but this movie has been eradicated? It's just odd. You know how much I like data points, Sean, and the data points in the pie chart of this this whole rolling out of this movie are weird. From the, like I say, the split opinions between media and people, and then just the suppression side of it all. What do you think is going to happen with the rolling out of this worldwide? Do you think this is going to be a slow push, and do you think there's going to be certain sides of the world that would rather just keep this under wraps?
I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Here's a word from our sponsor, Rocket Money. Many of our viewers have saved thousands using Rocket Money to save the money off subscriptions they didn't even know about. Rocket Money cancels subscriptions for people that are tricky and time-consuming. Rocket Money also alerts you to subscriptions that can save you money. Try it free for 30 days, just enough time to try it, and then completely forget about it. In fact, over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. You could be wasting money and not even realizing it. Rocket Money helps you find those forgotten subscriptions so you can stop paying for ones you don't use. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Sean, SHAUN. That's rocketmoney.com/Sean, rocketmoney.com/Sean. Thank you for supporting our sponsor, Rocket Money. Enjoy the podcast. I think as it gets rolled out around the world, we're going to see the mainstream media in each country associate it with conspiracy theories and try to debunk it, which is absolutely appalling. But if you go on Rotten Tomatoes, where it's got 100% rating on over 10,000 accredited reviews, you can't go against that much public opinion. And what these idiotic outlets are doing, they think that they're destroying the reputation of this movie. But when you censor anything, it just makes more people want to watch it. I think the mainstream puppet masters are perhaps resting a bit easier because now Barbie and Oppenheimer have overtaken The Sound of Freedom. Just to put it in perspective, so Oppenheimer has already got 80 million on its first weekend in the US, worldwide 174. Barbie did 155 million in the US on its first weekend and a worldwide figure of 337 million, which is phenomenal. But so you look at the cost, it puts things in perspective, because Sound of Freedom's budget was 14.5 million.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer
I've known about Oppenheimer and Barbie since Christmas because of the marketing. Do you know what I mean? We've had months to prepare for Barbie. Months and months. When did you see a Sound of Freedom advert? Sound of Freedom came out, Mel Gibson made a post, and then the whole world went to see the movie. That's how I seen it happen. I'm sure there was the diehard fans that have been following it for 5 years and all the rest of it, but I never seen any marketing. Somebody's going to be mad about that, in the traditional movie format out in Hollywood, because you shouldn't have been able to beat Indiana Jones on Independence Day with a movie that had zero marketing. Do you know what I mean? So it's either going to change everything, or we're going to see another Bush-style invasion of a country, and we'll all have to forget about the movie because there's people, the drones are bombing schools again by accident. Do you know what I mean? So one of them.
Yeah, Barbie's budget was 130 million. So
it's Margot Robbie in a bikini, mate. It's Margot Robbie in a bikini. Do you see what I'm saying? That sells itself. Do you know what I'm saying? But Sound of Freedom is a whole other cookie. You know, and you've got to remember, this was worldwide marketing for Barbie. The whole world knew about it. So how is everyone talking about a film that nobody's really seen an official advert on a television or in a theater other than in America? Because when it comes to this stuff, people pay attention, you know? And what people should be paying attention to are the people that aren't paying attention to it, if I'm being honest. Like I say again, why the news medias are denying this. Is the Guardian going to backtrack on its claims when Tim brings young adults who were the kids in this movie to tell their story? Or is it still going to be a conspiracy then? What are they going to say to these kids? Because as far as I'm concerned, if a news publication turns around to these kids who have proven document court papers that say this is what happened to me, and they get told that it's conspiracy, surely they'll be praying for the aftermath of Bud Light because of how catastrophic that would be to them. Because we've seen exactly what happens when companies do things against the normality of the people, shall we say. And in this case, many news publications are going against what is being said. I would like all of you who disagree with this film to leave a comment. Leave a comment down below and tell us why you believe the big conspiracy and why Hollywood's lovely and how me and Sean are crazy. Leave us it there because I'm interested. If anything, convince me. I would love to live in your blind world of ignorance. I'm telling you now, it would be blissful to get up and be able to go, this is all nonsense. Let's go and live our life. But some of us aren't programmed like that.
Well, let's look at the story of Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker who came into the picture with this. So he was with a group of people, and one of them proposed donating to Sound of Freedom, Tim Ballard, whatever the charity. And Tony Robbins said, well, he would match whatever was donated. And he did so. And then 3 days later, he called Tim Ballard and he said, is this for real? And Tim Ballard's response was, why don't you come to Haiti, watch us arresting the perpetrators and rescuing the kids? And Anthony Robbins went down and did that, watched the operation in action, and has since backed it 100% and has been praising it to the high heavens and has become one of the biggest financial donors to the charity.
I would have loved to have seen Tony Robbins, all 7.5 foot of him, trying to be incognito, right, during a bust, right, where he's like just huckled behind a van. The man is a giant. But again, Tony Robbins, motivational speaker, he's known all over the world. In fact, a friend of mine just spent 4 days in the UK at a Tony Robbins seminar over the last week or two, and he keeps phoning me and just trying to say back all the like inspirational things that he was told. You know what I mean? But when you've got somebody like that, and again, when people watch something and then it affects them, and they have the power to get in touch with Tim, and they say, "Is this real?" and then they're taken to see the realities of it. Tom knew what he was doing. He knew that if he could convince Tony to be in his camp, that would help push the message forward. I really don't think anybody would go to Haiti and then come back and say, "Oh, it was a great time. I had a fantastic time out in Haiti." We just have to look back at the history of Haiti, the history of elitism, Hollywood, politics, the connections there. And there was a case in 2010 involving a member of the cabinet where 100 kids were tried to be taken out of Haiti after the earthquake, undocumented. They were all told that it was orphans where these kids actually had families. And the parents were even told, "Hey, we'll have them back for dinner." Does that not sound familiar to you, Sean? Did we not watch a film where a woman convinces a bunch of families that our kids will be back by dinner and everything will be fine? There's some familiar things going on here. But they also, Clinton administration got 10 kidnappers off with all their charges who were also trying to take kids out of Haiti. This is all documented, by the way, algorithm, just in case you're wondering. How often? That sounds a lot like human transportation to me.
Yeah, and in that case, what happened was the woman who was working for the foundation was bringing kids out of Haiti and was stopped, I believe, and said that it was for this some humanitarian thing and they didn't have parents. But then the parents popped up, which caused a huge problem. But that woman was later promoted to some kind of child helpline role. And as we see over and over again, anyone who plays ball, no matter how much taxpayers' money they spend, no matter what they get caught doing, if you are shown to play ball with the powers that be, you're going to get promoted in other ways. So it's terrifying that this stuff is probably going on all over the world with these big names involved in it.
Well, put it in perspective. Imagine you drop your kids off to nursery and then you find out that the nursery school headmistress tried to abduct 100 kids from Haiti and then helped and assist get 10 human transportation people off of their charges. How would you feel about that? This woman now is in charge of child safety, and it's weird when we again circle back to you tell a lie enough times, enough people will believe it. That's what we're seeing here, because how else would you get the job unless you were in the club? It doesn't make sense.
And these women transporters, I mean, Sound of Freedom, the main supervillain is Gazelle, female transporter, beauty queen. She's been in music videos from Grammy award-winning artists. She's studying sociology at the college, or she did do. So she's got all these credentials, and she uses these credentials to gain the confidence of people and then exploits the love of parents who have high hopes for their kids. They're in these neighborhoods where they're dirt poor, and they can make a little bit if their kids get into these opportunities, and exploits the parents wanting the kids to have better lives to put them into this evil circle. And that woman needs to be spending the rest of her life in prison, as far as I'm concerned.
Are you saying that people that have a little bit of fame would use that fame to mask who they really are? You can't be serious. Are you telling me that actors and people in Hollywood could potentially be doing the same, Sean? Come on. It's mad, because that only been the mask she wore. The fact that in these countries there isn't massive opportunity, and she's had a little bit of opportunity in the fame and the glitz and glamour, that's enough of a mask to assume, we can trust her. She's got too much to lose, And the power of perception is a mighty strong tool when it's utilized by the right or the wrong people, shall we say.
Yeah, and the way that she does it, and she's getting away with it for a long time, and it's only because Tim Ballard relinquishes his pension and his job and pursues it to the max with the blessing of his wife, that this woman is brought to justice. And this is what is so sad. Because these kids were out of the jurisdiction of the United States, Tim's boss did not want him to pursue them. They were just getting the guys, the adults who are watching the videos in America. That's how it starts, when they nail one of those guys. And then he gains the confidence. Tim gains the confidence of the guy and tells him he wants to be in the presence of a kid. And one of the transporters brings a kid over the American border. But the sister is still missing, because the whole movie is about a dad who lost his kids at the very beginning to Gazelle the transporter. She tells him to come back at 7. The kids are self-conscious while you're here. It's 5-something. Comes back. Kids are gone. They've cleared the whole operation out. He's just banging on the door. Bang. And your heart breaks at that moment for him. And all the way through the movie then, you're just praying that he's going to get his kids back.
Yeah, it's. I think a lot of people will be shocked, because I've seen that coming. I think you've seen it coming too, but I think a lot of people won't have quite clicked on, and that'll have been the point where they realize that, oh my God, is that easy? They're presented with an opportunity and gone, and it's scary how real it is. And like I say, sadly, there's that version of it where the kids vanish into thin air, and then there's obviously the other side of it where the parents know about things. And again, a lot of this circulates around poverty and the economics of the country that we're discussing. But certainly in both my experiences with Yugoslavia and the Ukraine and the modeling agencies in them, it certainly seemed to be more of a everybody was in on the secret, if you see what I mean, to an extent anyway.
So one of the main controversies with the celebrities surrounding this, we've now got, Mel Gibson's input. He's supporting Sound of Freedom. And some people have talked about Oprah not having too good a history when it comes to protecting kids in certain ways and her association with Harvey Weinstein. Now, I've looked at the articles about Oprah's South African school. The Daily Mail have reported on it. This is over a decade ago, and I wasn't aware of what had actually gone on there. I was quite flabbergasted reading this stuff, especially when the corpse of the newborn baby was found at the school. But have you looked at this story, Ron?
No, I've not.
All right, so the Mail reported in February 2011, the body of a newborn baby was found at the South African school founded by Oprah Winfrey. And this happened because a student hid her pregnancy and gave birth unaided. The cops said the body was found at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls near Johannesburg after a 17-year-old gave birth on Wednesday. A local newspaper claimed that the body was found in a plastic bag alongside clothes covered in blood. Now, this is absolutely tragic. Reports have so far not confirmed if the baby has been or died of natural causes. Police Captain Shado Mashoban said, "Yes, the girl gave birth to the baby at the school, but we can't confirm what happened to it. A case of concealment of death is being investigated." So the girl, a pupil at the academy, was taken to hospital for treatment, which led to the discovery of the body. A Chicago-based spokesman for the school said they will not be commenting on the case as it involves a minor. So Oprah opened the boarding school in January 2007 in the village of Henley-on-Kilp. It was beset by problems quite quickly. The school matron, Virginia Tiny Makopo, was charged with of several girls, but was later acquitted. Oprah also fired the school's headmistress. She was sued, and the case was settled out of court. She started the academy after being inspired by her own humble beginnings, and said that she hoped the school would provide opportunities to pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds. She was very involved with all aspects of the school, from selecting the school uniform to interviewing every one of the 152 girls who attended the year it opened. She spent $40 million to build the school and kept the home on the property, visiting when she could. And the students call her Mama Oprah. At the opening was Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, Sidney Poitier, Chris Tucker, and director Spike Lee. And here's a quote from Oprah: "I love these girls with every part of my being. I didn't know you could feel this way about other people's children." And she said that at the opening. So have you heard about any of the controversies at the school?
Not really, I'll be honest. I've not had my sights put on that. But I mean, it sounds like the school's been there a long time, and there's one controversy that's come out of it, very tragic. How does a 17-year-old go unnoticed as being pregnant? I'm sorry. I need more, like, for example, the newspapers need to give us some more info on how far along she was and all the rest of it, because there's questions that need answered there. That's very, very odd.
There's a whole wiki page on the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, and I'm just seeing if the school is still open. Let's have a look. There has been reports of praise for the school. People who've had their kids attended have praised it, said they have no problems about the school, they're happy about everything. One said, "Oprah is an angel, she is God sent, she came to my rescue when my husband was not working." Nelson Mandela also praised the school. He called Winfrey his hero because she understood that South Africa's gains in democracy would be nullified unless future generations were educated.
I just want to point out as well, Oprah having a school doesn't mean anything dark or creepy, okay? But if you were into dark and creepy stuff, a good way of convincing people that you're not is to actually have a successful school, you know, because if nothing ever tragic took place other than that one incident, you got to think to yourself, is this a smokescreen, or is this the true reflection of who Oprah is? You know, we all know old Oprah loves giving stuff away, but really, is that just to create the mask? Is this the too much to lose, too big to fail persona? Because I mean, I'm not being funny. The PR pictures and stuff for the school and the school itself all look great. You know, it looks like money's been spent and all the rest of it. But again, how do we know? We're going off of what we're seeing off the internet, but a lot of questionable questions about a 17-year-old who wasn't noticed to be pregnant, gives birth, and then the baby's found.
Here is a word from today's sponsor, Aura. If you Google someone, you can find out all kinds of personal information about them. This information is accessible because of data brokers who profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers. You can use my link, https://aura.com. Aura is AURA / Sean Atwood, SHAUNATT Wood, to try 2 weeks for free and see how many data brokers are sharing your info. Also linked in my description box on this YouTube version, or scan the QR code on the screen.
Aura also monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data breach and exposed on the dark web, and gives you the recommendations on what to do.
Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need, all inside one app.
In the bag, like there's a lot of things we need to know. Was it a miscarriage? Was it a tiny fetus? Was it a foot? Do you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of things we need to add up, but it'd be very easy to kind of, without having those answers, throw out some wild conclusions, shall we say.
Yeah, it does look really nice. They've got classrooms, computers, science labs, library, auditorium, gymnasium, amphitheatre, sports field, modern dorms, dining hall. School was designed by Rose Mashabani Architects and built between 2000 and 2007 by Concord Construction.
Yeah. It actually looks like they wear big blazers as well. So maybe she could have had, our wee tummy under that.
But she was criticised for the extravagance of the school. Among other things, about the need for high thread count sheets for the dormitory beds, a beauty salon, 2 theatres, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, a yoga classroom to educate girls in such an impoverished region of South Africa. In an article about the school's unveiling, Alison Samuels of Newsweek questioned whether the $40 million spent might have benefited a far greater number of students had the money been spent with less emphasis on luxurious surroundings and more emphasis on practicality. But Oprah defended her decision to establish the school and offered the following observation: I think the reason not just Africa but the world is in the state that it is because of a lack of leadership on all levels of government, and particularly in regard to schools and schooling for poor children. The best way to effect change long term is to give children exposure and opportunity and nurture them to understand their own power and possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it all sounds great. I hope one day she opens up one for boys, you know? Let's make it an even playing field, Oprah. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? So it's one for me. I mean, we could sit here and go down rabbit holes and delve into this side of Oprah over and over, but I mean, there's stuff that we can't talk about that goes back years, involving, theories that have triangular shaped sliced cheesy bread in their title that we can't talk about. There's all these things. Oprah does not. This isn't the first time Oprah's name's been brought into something like this. Not by a long shot. You just have to do the research, people, because like I say, there's a lot of things that can't be said, and there's no way of really tiptoeing and editing yourself down when you're trying to educate somebody on a topic they've never heard of with specific events, names, and people, and all the rest of it. So, yeah.
The other big name that's come out behind Sound of Freedom is Donald Trump. We did a piece on him a few days ago. He watched it at his Bedminster Golf Club with the lead figures, the actors, the people who produced it, and highly commended them on it. And in recent days, Angel Studios has said the movie has sold more than 9 million tickets. The gross has now topped 100 million. Jared Gisi, SVP of Global Distribution of Angel Studios, said Sound of Freedom has become the people's movie. This is the opposite of the top-down system developed by Hollywood gatekeepers. Yeah. We are empowering people to be part of choosing, funding, and sharing stories that amplify, light, and impact culture. And
I agree.
Totally agree with that, yeah.
Just before we move on from Oprah or anything, I just want to throw up just this image just while we're chatting here, because I think this sort of sums up where I think people should be looking if they want to piece things together that we cannot say. Okay, so just look at the screen, and I'm going to take it away now. Okay, taking it away. All right.
Read
between the lines. Okay.
So other people who've come out and backed the movie include Russell Brand. I did watch his video on it. He's done a couple of on it now. Jordan Peterson, I watched his video on it. Ben Shapiro has come out as well. There's a lot of videos on YouTube coming out on this every single day.
Yeah.
And the conservatives are praising the video for speaking to a selection of blue-collar Americans, which they say has been largely snubbed by Hollywood elites. And here's a quote. What's almost as interesting as the movie itself is the reaction it seems to provoke from the mainstream media that seem determined to tear it down at any cost. This is from British thriller writer Will Jordan in a review posted to his 1.8 million subs on YouTube, The Critical Drinker. I mean, you'd think a movie that sheds light on the hidden nightmare of child transportation would be a pretty admirable cause worthy of support. You think it would, but once we went down that road, both myself and Ron, dark forces manifested to try and tear us down and destroy our reputations. But yeah, there are powerful people. There are powerful people out there who don't want this narrative to go mainstream. So here's another quote then from Brandon, who works for Angel. We're getting messages from all over the country telling us about packed theatres, sold-out theatres, and spontaneous standing ovations for the film in numerous locations. Seeing this film has become a must thanks to incredible word of mouth. Yeah, and the internet especially has helped.
Yeah. Well, it's bonkers because there have been people laughing when you said that's what happened to us. You got to understand, when you got a little bit of traction online, when you start getting closer to the reality, right? It's okay when you're sitting, throwing out stuff and talking about things that don't affect the elites. They'll let you do as much of that as you want. But the minute you start getting close to their agenda, things they just take away your voice. Okay. Luckily, they took away the digital voice. And again, a lot of you will be thinking, what do you guys think you are? You think these are big fish, whatever. A lot of big stories get broken by ants, okay, and they take down the elephant, okay. It's happened in the past, and I'm not saying that's what the trajectory that we were on, but you have to ask yourself: a channel gets removed for harassing child monsters because YouTube's seen it as bullying. I was a bully of these people. I should be ashamed of myself for calling out those in power that believe the laws that surround children don't apply to them. I am so ashamed of what I had to do. Am I hell? That's the reality of the situation. And the hypocrisy of it was the video that brought my channel down is still out there on thousands of other channels. So trust me, they take what they can and they just erase your ability to spread your message. And that's just the way it goes, people. But hey, and if you're not getting death threats every day, you're not exposing and doing your job right. So, you know, that's just the way it goes.
And I'd like to name and shame some of the media outlets that are putting negative reviews. We've got the Variety, we've got the New York Times, we've got the Guardian, calling it a conspiracy thing and plain dull. Quote in Rolling Stone, "It's a stomach-turning experience, fetishizing the beep of its child victims and lingering over lush preludes to the beep abuse." Then it goes on to say, "To know thousands of adults will absorb Sound of Freedom, this vigilante fever dream, and come away thinking themselves better informed on a hidden civilizational crisis. Well, it's profoundly depressing." And whoever wrote that at Rolling Stone is, I believe, enabling this activity.
Vigilante fever dream has to be the best quote out of all of this nonsense misdirection propaganda. I mean, wow. Talk about trivializing an entire planet's feelings.
I think it was Jordan Peterson who highlighted the hypocrisy and the criticism, contrasting the objections to the film with the support that was given to Cuties, which Ron talked about earlier. And here's a quote from him. "It's a film that reminds us that even though there are a lot of bad people in this world doing the worst things imaginable, there are also still good men fighting to bring them to justice. And maybe that's something we could all do with remembering." Yes.
And again,
definitely.
Just want to point out, all documented fact. This isn't something that somebody's made up. Tim Ballard has already said that if he has to, he's quite happy to bring the young adults forward who want to come and speak on the realities of the film because they lived it. So the Guardian, get ready, man, get ready, because I can't wait to see you sit down and double down on your opinion and tell these kids that what they went through wasn't really that bad. Come on.
Imagine if it happened to their own. Imagine if it happened to their own bloody kids. They wouldn't be repeating this BS. So it's obviously going to inspire a lot of others to produce similar works. And we did get sent a trailer, didn't we, Ron? Another production. And the people behind this production have asked us to share the trailer. So we're gonna bring that on the screen now.
Huh? Ready to rumble?
Yeah.
Mike, where's Jamie? What do you mean, where's Jamie? I thought she went with you. My little sister went missing. She's been missing for like 30 minutes. Hey, someone needs to get on the intercom and tell them that a girl's been missing. I had a dream last night. I was standing at the gate of this old warehouse. This guy pulls up in a truck. He's staring at me like he wants to kill me. You think God sent you a dream to go break into a warehouse? That's what you're trying to tell me. She could be in there. Someone's in there. Wish it wasn't just a dream. I'd do something about it. I'm not leaving them.
Thoughts?
Yeah, so it says on the website that it is now in production. That's the trailer, and we look forward to seeing that one when it comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just because I'm me and I like to ruin everything for everybody. Okay, I need to just give you my 2 cents on this. So If this isn't based on a true story, and you're planning on making a film about this narrative, there's plenty of stories out there waiting to be told without you having to make one up. I think when we look at this narrative, promoting the reality, but not promoting the fantasy, is where I'd prefer to see filmmakers go with this. I'd prefer to see the stories of people who've gone through this, because you cannot question that. Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas when we start bringing in possible fantasy tales, I think that's when we're diluting down the true stories. I'm not going against this film in any way, shape, or form. I can't wait to see it. I'm just throwing in my 2 cents. It looks like it's going to be a good one, a real good one. So I'm not criticizing, and I'm not putting people off in any way. I just want to see how the media handles this moving forward and the things that they'll say. But it looks fantastic. I mean, the producers are no joke. So what are your thoughts, Sean?
When you said that, Ron, it brought to mind one of our guests we've had on several times. I think we had to take her videos. YouTube made us take her videos down. I think we've got it on Rumble now. But her name is Anneke Lucas, Annekelucas. Her TED Talk that she did 6 years ago is up. It's got 500,000 views on YouTube. It's called From Child Beep Slavery to Victory, My Healing Journey. And she's also got another video on Real Woman Stories that's got 700,000 views. Former Beep Slave reveals horrors of Beep. So it's people like Anneke who's got such a wonderful spirit, yoga, meditation, went through these things when she was just really young. It's horrifying. How young these people are, that these people choose to do these things to. And for to come through it and to be talking about what happened to her personally, to relive it, to inspire others, and to shine a light on it, to prevent it happening to other people, which is one of the missions of Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
I think that she would be she's one of my prime candidates to have a real life movie made about her life, to cover this very important issue.
This is the thing, and just one more thing, Sean. I don't want people walking away from this show thinking this is an elitist issue. Okay, you have to be vigilant in the normal world. I've got a very close friend of mine. I'm close with her whole family, and she was transported by her mother from the age of 5 to 16 around horrible groups in my own city. She ended up putting her mother in jail, writing a #1 book about it. And this problem is on your street, in your kids' schools, in the hospitals, in the doctor's offices, in Pizza Hut, in every aspect of our lives. These people exist. The walls and their distance from us isn't as far as you think. I mean, I remember John Wedger has ruined going to the fair for me, completely ruined it. I was in Blackpool a couple of weeks ago with my partner Dan, and all I could see were these thumbs sticking out in the crowd. Some old dude in tiny shorts with like a sleeveless top and a little bag. It's clammy as hell. No family around him, and he's just hanging about these kids. I mean, I death glared at least 2 of them out of the place, because when they know, they get out of there. I'll tell you that right now. And it's ruined it for me, because that's their hunting ground. That is, as John Wedger so poetically puts it, if you're into really good-looking women, you go to where there's good-looking women. And if you're into children, you go where there's children. And it's true, and sadly, you'll start seeing it now, people, because they're out there. And I just need to reiterate, this isn't just an elitist issue. Little girls, just because there wasn't billions in dollars surrounding the little girl who's now a mother and an adult that I know, she was still transported. Her life was destroyed. A quote from her, and this will stay with me forever. she said to me, when she would go to her friends' houses and her friends' dads or uncles or brothers didn't abuse her, she couldn't understand why. Because waking up on Christmas Day, being abused 5 or 6 times, and then sitting down to open your presents was just normal life for her.
So we're going to finish this video with a story that has happened to one of our podcast guests. Lee Marvin Hitchman and his partner Kira were in London. And I'm putting this out there just so parents, can see that this can happen, not just in Colombia, not just in, these countries that are so far removed from where we are based. They are from Manchester. They went to visit London, a family member. They're on a busy street near a train station. Kira turns around for a few seconds, and this kid is strapped into this seat. These straps are not easy to undo.
No.
And she turns around, and the kid is unstrapped, and the guy's got his hands around the kid, and he's about to lift him out of the seat. Now, her partner, Lee Marvin, he's a big guy, like 6'3", 6'4", and he's obviously going to spring into action. So a accomplice of the original snatcher, a guy just walks out of nowhere, bumps into Lee Marvin, throws his arms up in the air and says, "Welcome to London," to distract him. Kira is yelling at the man to get her hands off the kid, and he's saying, "Oh, I just wanted to hold him." And it's so busy on these London streets, they just disappeared. This is how fast and easy this stuff can happen.
The maddest part of that story was when Lee talked about pursuing them, and he said it was like they turned and ran and just evaporated into air. Right? Now, people don't just do that. That was an orchestrated escape route. So we're talking, 10 seconds? 10 seconds away from that being a totally different podcast. 10 seconds. That is... It's not a fun story to be retelling. It's not a fun story for it's just a horrible story. But just try and put that in perspective, people. You just get on public transport, head off for a little holiday with your family, whether it's the beach or London or to see your auntie, and you turn around for 20 seconds. 20 seconds. And your child's gone. In the middle of the capital of England. I mean, what?
And we're going to show you that clip now.
I think it was a year or so ago, something happened down south. There was an attempted kidnapping, wasn't it in broad daylight?
Yeah, it was in broad daylight. Yeah, it was crazy. Me and her had just come out of my auntie's people carrier. All of a sudden, put the baby out first. These two guys appeared from nowhere, and I was talking to me auntie. I wasn't really taking much notice of them.
What did it look like?
He didn't see him at first.
I didn't see him at first, yeah. It was Kate who got on her.
We got off the train and went to meet his auntie, and obviously they was putting the luggage in his auntie's car, so I put the baby in and he was strapped in. And as I turned to I said something to Marvin, I've just looked round and there was like Eastern European guys, and I'd noticed the baby's pram had been unclipped, and he was like leaning over him with his hands, and I went, "What are you doing, mate?" And he went, "I just wanted to give him a cuddle." I went, "Move away from his pram right now." Yeah. And he went to pick him up.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he thought Marvin was with me or not.
He must have thought his mate had already got me.
Because his mate was waiting by the alleyway bit, like as if to... Do you know what I mean?
I got onto his mate and went, "What are you doing stood here?" He was like, "Oh, welcome to London," like just some random thing he said. So I jumped right in front of my face and trying to
While his mate was trying to tell her out of his pram.
Going this.
Yeah, it was proper set up, ready. He was really ready to do it, wasn't there?
Yeah, and his straps really tight in his pram, obviously, because he's autistic. He climbed out of his pram, so he had to really, unclip his pram.
It's a 5-point strap, 5-point clip.
So I just freaked and just went, scream Marvin.
Yeah.
Like, Marvin's turned round and he's kind of jumped back and he was like, "No, I was only trying to hug him, mate."
Yeah,
and I was like, furthermore, you don't go near someone's child.
Yeah, it was really freaky, wasn't it? Yeah.
So if you hadn't noticed, what would have happened?
The baby would have been gone. And because of the street that we was on...
it was all scaffolding, like all along the street.
It was like near a back street. because we'd met her outside. We meant to meet her inside St Pancras train station, but there was all roadworks like there normally is in London.
Yeah.
So she had to like drive near the back street so she could park up because of the parking thing in London.
They literally came
and that's
from
literally
nowhere,
when
didn't
Marvin
they?
started getting in her face. They actually did run down the alleyway, so they knew
Vanished in
and
seconds.
vanished. He
In
couldn't find him.
seconds,
He
he was
gone.
gone.
So whether someone had a car waiting nearby, it was gone by the time Marvin, like within half a second, went to run
I mean,
after
you just
him,
got to
they
give
were
it a
gone.
moment's thought to that dark and murky underworld, can't you? You
Like a
can
Madeleine
picture what-
McCann situation.
Yeah, because
you can
obviously
just
Talon
imagine.
can't speak or anything, and
Yeah,
you know he's
he
a little
wouldn't
bit
be-
more vulnerable.
He wouldn't have been able
Probably
to
would
say
have gone
anything.
with him.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to speak, would he?
No, I think that's the scariest thing with Talon, because he can't speak.
Yeah, it's very scary.
So now, when he's in his pram, we have a wrist strap that's strapped to the pram and to him.
Yeah.
So then, if someone takes him, they're gonna try and take the buggy
Yeah,
because
it's magnetic
I've got
as
the
well, the
magnet to
strap.
it,
Like
so you can't take it off.
She's got some proper stuff now to make sure the baby doesn't
So I
happen
carry
again.
the magnet, so they wouldn't be able to get the wrist strap off him without the click to the magnet that's on him, unless they're just gonna stand there with a pair of bolt clippers in front of
so
him and clip him
literally,
out.
that's how
This is
scared it was.
mental.
Yeah, it was real scary, real.
Did they just look like normal
He was-
people?
They were just youngish.
He was young.
Young.
He was
Yeah, he was only
He was in
like
the mid to late
20s.
20s.
Yeah.
Mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was ready though. You could tell he was proper up for what
Professionals.
he was doing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he was proper up for what.
Like they knew what to
he
say.
came
and
from nowhere, bang, just
They
appeared.
knew what to say to
yeah,
weasel
we'd
out of
only
it.
been there
Yeah.
2 seconds and he just come out of nowhere
There was
like that.
nowhere. The baby was unstrapped already.
Already unstrapped.
Yeah.
I literally just went,
2 seconds.
Yeah,
if that,
yeah, it was rapid.
if that.
Welcome to London, right in my face. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck do you? You know what I mean? Just like proper jump right in my face. Wow.
God, I wonder how many times they've done it and got away
That's
with it.
what I
What's
was
happened?
thinking. I was thinking
I
that.
It's just a nightmare to think, isn't it?
Well,
Think
that's
how many
exactly what
kids
I
go
had.
missing every year, Sean? There's like 500
people
kids
like
or
them.
something what are missing every year.
That's literally what I had
And that's
nightmares.
she terrified her for weeks afterwards, yeah.
Even if I go into the city centre now, I don't really go out with him on my own.
I know you guys don't like talking to the cops under any circumstances, but in this case, did you?
No, we
Pointless. What's the point?
We couldn't really say.
They're not going to go through CCTV in London because they're just going to say, well, you know, they didn't take the baby. Like,
To be fair,
But it'd
we
be
just didn't
pointless.
think about the
just wanted
police,
to get
did
him
we?
away.
Just wanted to get him away, do you know what I mean? Just wanted to protect him. Now, in hindsight, no, you say the police, baby, we should have, do you know what I mean?
You don't think at the
Like,
time.
even as much as you don't want to, but then it's something like that, do you know what I mean? It's a line, innit? It's a hard line to cross, but
It just
you've got to
totally
cross
took
those
the
lines,
vibe
haven't you?
out of even going down to London, enjoying the week that we was meant to spend down there because you know, we like to do things with him. And
Yeah,
obviously
it
'cause
knocked
London's
us.
busy.
It really knocked us,
Yeah.
didn't it?
We've not been back.
Well, no, we've not been back.
So
no.
when you turned around and saw him, the seat open or whatever it was,
His pull straps was open.
what went through your head at that moment?
I froze, like literally. I just froze.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was froze for 1 second. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Go away, get away from my son." Like I was just gonna hug him, and that's when I screamed him because I don't think that they thought that I was with him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're gonna see a big guy and think
Because I was at the
Beck-
side of the car though, and she's at the back, so I got, you know what I mean, to them, it was just a baby on her own with a girl, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he must have seen me at the last minute and jumped in front of me and went like that,
Welcome to London.
Yeah. Because I didn't even see his mate who said that to Marvin at first. I just seen the one that was in front of Talon.
Yeah.
Do you think they probably get paid to like
Absolutely,
drop them off to
100%.
people?
100%.
Million
All I
percent.
kept thinking was they must take him from London and then they shipped out the country within the
Ships him
day.
somewhere else.
You know, you don't even want to imagine what they do with kids. Like you said, Madeleine McCann, innit? You know, that's a mystery that has never been solved and
Never
probably
been
will
solved.
never get solved.
No, I know.
And it's scary to think that, you know, it can actually happen.
So when you go places now, have you got like eyes in the back of your head
Oh,
all the
we've got
time?
eyes in the
Eyes
back
in the
of
back
our
of your
head.
head.
Can you imagine what was going to happen to that kid? It just blows your mind. That could have been so different. And we appreciate you. You know, if you're parents out there, we appreciate everyone shining a light on this, being more vigilant for the protection of the kids. Anything to add to that, Rom?
Yeah, if any of you have experienced anything like Lee and his partner did, if you've witnessed anything, leave us a comment, because we'll come back to these comments in the next video, because I've got a funny feeling that a lot more people are going to have a story about this than is palatable to deal with. So if you've witnessed it, if you've seen it, if your Auntie Jean had something happen to her, let us know down in the comment section, because I want to really build a reality for how bad the situation is. Because why didn't we hear about that story on the news? Like, why wasn't that on the news? You know, why didn't we hear about Lee's potential child being stolen? You know, it doesn't add up when the crimes are so severe, the risk to public safety is so massive, but so little is done. And again, I refer you back to what John Wedger has told us about the underfunding, the system in place, the setting it up to fail already, and all the rest of it. That's no conspiracy. That's a reality also.
Yeah, and we've got a back catalogue of John Wedger videos. Check him out on the channel. He's a former London Met cop, served over 20 years. And when he was assigned to protect the kids, they kept shutting him down because he was getting so great results. They moved him around the country. They said, if you keep doing this, you will lose everything, your job, your pension. And he did end up losing everything, came out the police and became a whistleblower. Some of the content we've done with Wedger was banned off this platform, but you can find it on Rumble. And his name is spelled JONWEDGER.
And again, Sean, just to touch just quickly on this, we're talking about somebody who was in a part of the industry that has a lot of fingers pointed at it, and when they speak out about it, like actors do or anybody does, they are suppressed, they are shifted around to be silenced, and their careers are over. And the only reason that we hear about Hollywood stars and the rest of it is because they're famous. But trust me, John Wedger isn't the only John Wedger in the world. He's not a unicorn by any sense. It's just you're not going to hear the media owned by the secret club, biggest secret club in the world, the P Club, who own the media, allowing someone like John to spit the truth about what's going on. So there we are. That's my last moment.
Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe to help us with the algorithm. Ron's got his own channel. Link is in the description box. Please check his work out as well. Much love and respect wherever you are in the world. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.